What's up, everybody? John Hoover, AllSooners, AllSooners.com, along with Ryan Chapman, Randall Sweet. We are at the Alamo Dome. We're here day before the game. Kickoff is tomorrow, about 28 hours, something like that. We'll find out how this Alamo Bowl is going to go. It's Brent Venables' second Alamo Bowl. He was here 2 years ago when the Sooners, he was already been hired, but the Sooners qualified for the Alamo Bowl after Lincoln Riley left. We are standing right now exactly where he and Jerry Schmidt spent most of the game 2 years ago as the Sooners beat Oregon. Well, this year they're going to try and beat Arizona. The Wildcats 9-3, the Sooners are 10-2. It's like a race to the 11th win or the 10th win. These teams both won it. They both talked about it today. Both head coaches talked about winning that 10th game for Arizona, winning that 11th game for Oklahoma. They have it on their to-do list tomorrow, guys. And what among the many storylines that came out of yesterday's tremendous access to the players and the coordinators and today's interview press conference with the head coaches, a lot of things that came out of it, but obviously the number one story is what is this Oklahoma offense going to look like with Seth Luttrell and a new quarterback?
Yeah, you got Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley stepping up as the co-OCs. Seth Luttrell officially getting those play-calling duties, though. Jackson Arnold, what's he going to look like? But we finally got to talk to Seth and Joe John yesterday, and if you haven't been to the website yet, allsooners.com, who with a great story, the money quote yesterday, Seth Luttrell, I've been waiting 23 years to get back to this place, coaching Oklahoma, and he talked about he had two dreams as a kid. Play for Oklahoma, check. Not go to the NFL, coach at Oklahoma, and now he'll get to take the helm of the offense. And so Seth Luttrell, the expectations, what are you going to see? He talked about, look, with 15 practices and preparing a new quarterback in Jackson Arnold, this was not the time to change verbiage. This was not the time to add a bunch of wrinkles. They're basically going to be running Jeff Lebby's playbook, something that Joe John Finley is very, very familiar with. But as Oklahoma goes forward, it sounds like Seth Luttrell says he's one of those coaches that doesn't say, this is my system, everyone fit to it. He's going to work it around the players. He talked about, I've called games where we've thrown it 50 times. I've been in systems where we've had to run it 50 times. So expecting a pretty versatile Oklahoma offense throughout Seth Luttrell's tenure as offensive coordinator, however long that is, that fits to the strengths of the players. And we're going to find out what Oklahoma views as Jackson Arnold's strengths here. And like you said, about 28 hours tomorrow in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, one of the obvious questions is they not only have a new coordinator in Seth Luttrell, they have a new quarterback in Jackson Arnold. What's Jackson Arnold going to look like in his first career start? He's back in the state of Texas. He's going to have a lot of family here. He's going to have a lot of friends here. He's going to have a lot of critics here saying, is that your five-star quarterback? Let's see what he can do. Big day for Jackson Arnold tomorrow.
Yeah, totally. And, Brent Venables talked about his consistency, talked about, leading up to this game in practice and things like that, how consistent he's been. And that kind of echoes with what Seth Luttrell told us yesterday, kind of talking about all season that Jackson Arnold had really prepared the same way, whether he was going to be the starter or whether he wasn't. And, Seth Luttrell even pointed out, as Ryan kind of touched on, they're getting their first start in this together. Their first quarterback coordinator duo in this game here together. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes for Jackson Arnold, of course. But we also heard from Brent Venables, from Seth Luttrell, even from Jackson Arnold's teammates, that his maturity, his work ethic, really off the charts. And that maturity, that humility, that those two really play into his work ethic, that really helps him work hard and again, prepare, approach practice, and again, this bowl prep the right way.
I asked Arizona's defensive coordinator, Coach Nansen, yesterday about preparing for a new coordinator, preparing for a new coach. He said, we got a lot of GAs. We're studying film, North Carolina, North Texas, Indiana, all the way back to Arizona when Seth Luttrell was offensive coordinator at Arizona. And they both talked about Jackson Arnold film from high school. When I say both, I mean Jed Fish, the head coach today. Jed Fish basically said today, at some point we got to not chase ghosts and we just got to play ball. So forget about preparation, forget about what we saw on film. Arizona is prepping for I guess what are we going to call it? The full frontal Jackson Arnold experience. It's his offense moving forward. So
TV 14 Jackson Arnold experience.
That's right. This is going to be it's potentially a big game for both defenses, as it's year 3 for Coach Fish and it's year 2 for Brent Venables. But for Oklahoma's defense in particular, Fish talked about it today. You see a defense, and I asked their offensive coordinator about it yesterday. Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son. about how you've got a defense that is so opportunistic. 26 takeaways. They're one of the best. They lead the nation in interceptions. They have a great number of tackle for losses. They're great in the red zone. They're great on third down, but they give up a ton of yards. And he said what matters is getting off the field. How's this going to be a kind of a launching pad or a springboard for the Oklahoma defense?
Yeah, we talk so much, and I think we've been so Jackson Arnold focused on, you got 15 bowl practices, bring the young guys along, what's Jackson Arnold look like? Well, Oklahoma's defense, as we've talked about, bringing almost everybody back. You got the guys up front, Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, all that stuff. And so I was talking to Ted Roof here today and asking him, hey, what does that mean? And he's like, oh, this is huge, because typically you focus on how do you bring these young guys along, but now it's a 15 practices where Oklahoma can take a step back and everyone is working on their weaknesses, trying to get better, trying to get even more familiar with Brent Venables' scheme. And it's going to be Ted Roof likes to use the word launch pad, is they're going to start from a totally different launch point come spring football as far as their familiarity, how routine it is, all that. And it's going to make it even easier as they bring in a smaller group of freshmen and transfers combined compared to the past 2 years to teach those guys exactly what needs to happen. So a big opportunity. Ted Roof uses that, a top 20 offense to come out there. And Ethan Downs said they want to show, the defense wants to show, over these last 3 weeks, they've made a bunch of improvements since even the last month of the season, and used as a point to say, this is where this defense was at the start of the year, this is where it was to end 2023, and it's going to be even better in 2024.
I don't want to trivialize this, but you get the sense that, Oklahoma had a lot of turnover on its roster coming into this game. Arizona has not. And it just, like I said, this is going to sound like I'm trivializing it, but it just feels like Arizona wants this game a little more, is taking it more seriously. That's probably oversimplifying, right? You would think. But yet, you got Jed Fish talking about the blue blood, and Oklahoma is at the top of the list, and he's so much respect for Brent Venables as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach. What did you make of all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see the way that Arizona's coaches, players, really everyone that we've talked to so far has praised Oklahoma. Like you said, calling it a blue blood. I don't even think Fish was the only one to say that. I think Carroll and Nansen both kind of echoed that same sentiment. They talked about, I think it was Carroll specifically that talked about Arizona wanting to get to the level of a program that Oklahoma is at, which, I mean, just a lot of high praise. I wonder if there's maybe an ulterior motive, or probably not, but
they're trying to play one side up and say,
exactly.
we're poor little Lou Holtz underdog, right?
Exactly.
Maybe that's the answer they're taking.
But in reality, I mean, Arizona, I think, has 7 players on their roster who have played in a bowl game before, so very small portion of their roster. This will be the first experience for them. So like you said, wanting it, I guarantee you that those guys want to go out. They want to get a win in that first bowl game experience. And really, this could be, you mentioned being a launch pad, a launch point. That's what this bowl game could be for Arizona as they head into the Big 12 next year. If they're able to beat one of the best teams in the Big 12, not only this season but historically, then you have to think that gives the Wildcats, the coaches, the players, that fan base, a lot of confidence as they head into the Big 12 without an Oklahoma and without a Texas next season.
Oklahoma, I think, 8 points from being undefeated, right? Arizona, similarly, I think, what was it, 20?
I think they're 18 points across 3 games.
From being undefeated. 2
overtimes.
Yes, 2 in overtime. So 2 teams that are very talented, 2 teams that are explosive offensively, 2 teams that want to be stingy defensively, doesn't always work out that way for these guys. 2 teams that are changing conferences next year, as Randall mentioned. Arizona very interested to springboard into the Big 12. Oklahoma obviously wants to carry this bowl win into the SEC next year, and a little bit of like a backpack almost.
Little Drew Lock action, little Tom Herman.
Tom Herman, yes. Throw that thing on, carry it around on your big broad shoulders. That's what Oklahoma wants to treat this bowl game as.
Was this not the site of the Tom Herman?
That was
Missouri, so it couldn't have been here.
I thought it was here.
Couldn't have been, because they were playing Missouri, so it couldn't have been here.
My bad.
That would have been a Big 12 SEC.
I thought it was in San Antonio. Anyway, we're in San Antonio. We're wrapping this thing up. Don't forget the All Sooners podcast dropping later this evening, later this afternoon. We'll hustle through everything. All Sooners is where you want to be for all of our coverage from San Antonio, from the Valero Alamo Bowl, from Oklahoma, from Arizona. Tomorrow night we'll be here. Press boxes right up there somewhere, so we'll see how this game goes. Looking forward to it. Another bowl game. I think this is my 25th consecutive bowl game.
Nice.
It's my first.
And his first. It means I've been around a long time. Appreciate you guys being with us here at All Sooners.
Is that the best active bowl streak in the FBS?
No. Not even close. Not even close. Appreciate you guys hanging with us here at All Sooners. For Ryan Chapman, for Randall Sweet, I'm John Hoover. See you guys.